What's up, CATRP crew? Today we are going to finally talk about how much we actually make.
It may not be what you expect.
If that doesn't hook you, let me explain. So we're gonna go through and unbox a few collections that we just got in, including buy list stuff, but we're actually gonna talk about everything that the business makes, like our margin, and actually get into a lot of the details of what it looks like now at our scale and what it used to look like when we're kind of first starting, but not only that, how the landscape of reselling and margin has changed specifically in our categories.
First off, just want to show this glorious little box. I don't know what this tacking is, but
it's not edible, that's for sure. Wow,
how about that?
Cool.
Were you expecting to see that, Sky Guy?
I was not. I was expecting to see dead mice. If I'm being honest, there's nothing else in there. There you go, Nolan. You can take this whole thing. Don't eat it.
So there's Pokemon Crystal and Pokemon Ruby. And there's more coming from this person.
Really? Are they just slowly selling a collection?
Well, they're international, so they were just a little weary on the packages getting here. Okay. So they were
the packaging makes a lot of sense then.
Yeah, so they were just like, I just want to send a couple just to make sure I don't want all of them get lost in customs. So now that they're here, I'm going to let them know, hey, these showed up, send the rest. And it's like 4 or 5 more games.
Okay. Are they of the Pokemon variety?
They're all Pokemon variety. Okay. So I'm actually going to let Sky Guy unbox these.
Okay.
Because it's always fun, because I always know kind of what's in these collections, so it's fun for the guys to unbox them in front of me.
I truly don't know anymore.
But I actually think Sky Guy is really elegant when he talks about business stuff, and I think he'll do a great job of explaining.
I think the word you meant was eloquent.
Elegant? No, you're just really elegant.
Thank you. I will take what I can get.
Yeah, he's just good at explaining, but I will just say a $100 item means just so much less than $100. That number is continuing to get lower for us of what we actually take home when we sell a $100 item.
So first box, and the reason we're saying that is because our business has grown, and as businesses grow, they grow at a decreasing rate. So all business, there's maybe 1 or 2 examples where this isn't the case, but all businesses increase at a decreasing rate. If you don't remember high school math, increasing at a decreasing rate looks like this. It starts off like, woo, and it still increases, but it just kind of plateaus at how much it increases.
Can you say that again?
That part?
Yeah.
This is from Noah H. I don't know if he wants his full name being said.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll err on the side of caution. But take this as an example. Let's say, Alpha, give me a food. Give me any food.
Apple.
Apple. Okay, let's say you build apples and
grow.
Oh, grow apples. Let's say you grow apples. You start with just 1 apple tree. Well, once you get 100 apple trees, you need to now hire somebody to tend to those apple trees, meaning that's extra pay. You're not getting the same 100 apple trees worth of profit now that you're paying somebody else. You now need to pay for maybe more pesticides. You now maybe need to pay for a groundskeeper. Things, just extra expenses happen as you expand. So with us, I'm just gonna, where should we put this? Thank you. So with us, that exhibits itself in a few ways. 1, Chase blesses all of us on the team to an extreme amount. Like you guys have no idea. That comes at a cost. Paying employees more is a cost for doing the same work. Offering extra services to the community comes at a cost. All of that kind of eats into profit. Another, a small example, but one that I definitely want to shout out is something we do for people. We absolutely love these. We talked about them a while ago. I'm not gonna show them. We don't want them to accidentally scan, but gift tags. Gift tags are one of those things where they cost us a little bit a piece, but it's a thank you, a video thank you that we give. That's how we use them to our massive buyers, people that are spending $500 with us in a show, or they bought a giveaway for the chat and whatnot. Just little things like that are great for investing into our audience, into our community, but it comes at a cost. So for every, $10 we spend on those, that $10 has to come from somewhere, right? Nolan loves using these things, so.
I had them at my wedding. They're awesome.
Yeah, so not a sponsor, not yet, but in the last video we were actually talking about our friend who started a bunch of businesses and finally had one that took off. That's this one, where I think we might be sharing some exclusive stuff with that in the future, but Anyways, shout out to Gift Tag.
I think I'm actually going to launch something exclusive with that in the Discord tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Well, join the Discord. We have some great stuff. If you're a business, like seriously look into those. Again, this is not a sponsor. It's a friend who has an amazing, amazing product that it will be bought out by somebody, right?
Yeah.
It's just, yeah, it will. Anyways, looks like we have some PlayStation games. Another good example of where margin gets eaten down, and then we will talk numbers, but swapping cases. If we get a case that's covered in stickers, all these are actually pristine, so good job, Noah. One of the things that we have to do is factor that in. That's something
let's do this, Kega. How about you just take me through one game
Okay.
and go through all the potential costs there is to selling that single game.
So let's start with one cartridge game and one disc-based game. Yeah? What do you...
Those are good ones
Yeah,
to start
okay.
with.
So let's start with this. This is Quake for the N64, and it has Quake on it. I'll walk you through our process. So it would go here, but after looking at it, be like, okay, this actually needs a quick clean. So now it goes in this bin over here, where we then have to take time to clean it.
Bin's actually down here now, but
Oh, it's down there?
yep.
What is this one?
Oh, I guess it's another one.
All right, so we have two bins. This one has N64 stuff in it.
We did have two bins of cartridges need to be cleaned. Shout out
Yes.
Nolan, you cleaned them all.
Well done.
Hold on.
You just licked your finger, never mind.
No, I didn't. Oh, okay.
So,
Anyway.
He's not used to his wedding ring. He's only been married for a few weeks. Yeah, I've
So-
dropped mine many times.
so cleaning these comes at a cost. We have to pay somebody to clean a cartridge. Now imagine 1,000 cartridges that need cleaning. That takes time. That eats into your margin.
Not to mention you have the cost. Now it may seem small, but the cost of Q-tips, the cost of rubbing alcohol.
Yeah, like that's not even materials. And then you want to factor in opportunity cost on top of that. Does it make a lot of sense for Alpal, like one of our most valuable people here on the team, to be cleaning cartridges when he could be securing a $10,000 deal that could make us, $5,000? Like, and again, we're not actually making $5,000. That's like potential.
Yes.
We'll get into all that.
I like the thought of opportunity cost because this has actually been something we have tried to get less and less of. We've actually been hiking up the prices of stuff that needs to be cleaned on our buy list because it is a huge hiccup
Yes.
for us because some cartridges can take a few minutes to clean because they're really dirty, and by then the cost is almost like negated of what we might have made,
Yes.
$5 on that cart, and that time we could have sold, a $50 game or a $100 game, or we could have processed through 15 more cartridges. We're continuing to have to just up our deductions for cleaning because of the opportunity cost involved in that.
And we're saying up. It's really for the extra dirty stuff. Because we have a range of percentage that we'll deduct for. Essentially, if it just needs its pins cleaned, that's still work that we do have to do, and it's something that other people can very easily do.
If it's just a quick wipe down for a couple cartridges, but the rest of the submission is nice, I don't deduct for that. We try to be lenient where we can.
Yeah, so here's a good example as well. So this is a game that we got in from the buy list because it was in our stack, this came from a collection because it's in our collection stack.
Collection.
So it at one point was worth it for us to peel off each individual sticker on things to make them presentable for the buyer, whether that was on Amazon or eBay, whatever. For Whatnot, some people don't care as much, but if this was a pretty expensive game, we still want to serve a very good product. So that's where we would just, at this point in our business, it is not worth our time to do that. It's actually just quicker to pay for cases from XYAB, channel sponsor, to actually swap it out as a whole.
Especially, I can tell you, looking at that sticker, that's one that I would have to let soak in alcohol.
These are stinkers
and
to get off.
By the time, sometimes I'll spend a bunch of time trying to get the sticker off, and then it ruins the case. So I have to get it
because you're pressing in on it.
Because I'm trying to get it off with a little.
Nolan's throwing me one.
A little peeler.
Hey, there we go.
So we have stopped dealing with those as much lately, and we just put them in our case swap stack because it's quicker to do that. Like he's doing right now.
Look at how quick this is, and then we can then sell these to people who just need a random case for like that. That was so quick.
Not to mention
That was so quick.
we can put these in a batch model where Nolan or
That catch was
whoever
so cool.
can case swap 50 PS2 games
Yes.
at a time
So
versus
that's-
having to stop the process of a collection or a buy list to tear off that one sticker.
Exactly. So that's where we've gotten very, very efficient, and that's where margin can increase. Efficiency helps your margin increase. Like, is there ever a time where it doesn't? It seems counterintuitive to think that being more efficient with your time and resources gives you less margin. So that's where we are constantly playing this battle of we don't charge for case swaps, we don't charge for disc cleans, but these are real fees that we have. These disc cleaners, Matt might know a little bit more than me, but
There's
like
disc cleaners under here if you don't know.
yes,
these are our special.
boxes. This is our soundproofing box.
Yeah,
They
there's
have
stuff inside.
foam on the inside.
Because when 3 of these are running at the same time, it gets pretty loud.
It's loud. You guys know it. You've seen the videos
Not
where
just loud, it's obnoxious.
It's just annoying because it's like
Yes.
high pitched and
So these machines, like we probably paid between $5,000 and $7,000 for these machines,
each.
just for the machine. Each of these pads is,
The pads are pretty expensive.
or what, $3 a piece?
They're pretty expensive.
These pads are what, $3 a piece?
They might be somewhere around there.
Somewhere.
So
Yeah,
somewhere
somewhere
around there.
Like a pack of 10 is like over 20
So
bucks.
if we run each disc cleaner, 3 or 4 times a day, we are replacing each pad like one time,
Yeah.
roughly one pad. So it's like that adds up. The actual time. There are internal mechanisms in here that like we are always having to swap. This is compound. This is a giant filter thing that we have to dump. We have to figure out water. All of these
Not to
eat
mention
into
how many
time.
days worth of time Matt has spent fixing them because they break down.
Yes. So these are all
It's probably been like 2 weeks in total.
Yeah.
These
of
are
work
all
time. Yep.
costs of growth. And let's look over here for a second. This area took time and money to set up. So at home, you might be investing into a workspace. You know firsthand that money has to come from somewhere, right? That will eat into your margin, or you will just have to kind of save up for that. But getting a little sidetracked, like our processes are to serve our customers, and that comes at a cost, like a lot of different varying costs. So that's one way our margin is going down. All of this is predicated on the assumption that we get 100% value or market value for every single game, which we do not. We probably average, not even factoring in fees, probably 87% of what price charting value is. I think we can all agree 95, 99% of stuff on price charting is going to be as accurate as you can get. Stuff is in really good condition, like this collection, mind you. Like I'm still glossing over the fact that there's Zeldas, like Twilight Princess, I think is $150 now. This is in great condition. This could go for $160 or $170 or even $180. They're sold, maybe I'm wrong. I think I saw it sold for $200, and that's what was
If it's
like,
really nice with
oh.
all the inserts.
Yeah, I was like, oh, Twilight Princess is kind of going up in price. And there's, Pokemon, Medieval 2, Final Fantasy 7 Classic. All of these games we have to buy, and this is just typical business. You have to know your market and know if there's the potential for you to lose money on certain things. So for us, when we are buying Yoshi's Story for our typical, percentage or dollar amount, whatever we're paying, but it arrives like this, we can now no longer count on the margin we would get sending it to Amazon. So instantly it puts it into a lower bracket that we then have to sell on whatnot or through other means. And then we have to factor in the risks of those. I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir. A lot of you guys have businesses and you know this, but sometimes it's important to kind of list out every single potential fee and potential area where you will be spending more time, more money, or more resources, which is usually your time or money, on things to fix these problems. They will lower your margin. So sometimes listing all of those out and getting an idea of what you're actually making roughly per game or per item, if you have a business selling whatever, is very, very good because it's going to inform the way you buy. Now we have sold hundreds of thousands of games? I don't know. How many games have we sold?
No, certainly hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, like we have sold many games to where we now have a large enough sample size to know all of the different fees and all the different things that can happen where your margin just nickels and dimes its way down. All that being said, there's also something called competition.
Before that, while Sky Guy gets the rest of the box unboxed, let me take you through an example of just a game that, let's say, we sent to Amazon. So we take a $20 game or whatever.
This isn't a $20 game, but pretend.
So,
or here, what about this one?
let's do a disc-based game, because I think, because we talked about on the crew channel, we talked about on the channel in general how cartridge-based stuff has been more and more beneficial for us because the processing is less. But let's do the extreme scenario of we take this game, it has a bad case. A case is, I don't know, 70 cents to $1, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
It needs a disc clean, so we have to take the time to put it in a stack to get cleaned, the resources to go to getting it cleaned. And then it goes on the shelf where we have to pay to put a bag on it, and we have to smack a label on it that we have to pay for. And then we put it in a box that we have to buy a box for. And then we have to put a shipping label out where we pay the shipping cost to send it to Amazon. And then it sits in Amazon where Amazon charges a storage fee and a placement fee for it to be at the Amazon warehouse. Then when it sells, Amazon takes a flat percentage on it and then a shipping charge on it on top of that. So
This
really,
$20 game.
this $20 game turned into like $4 profit.
And now we have to pay people.
And now we have to pay people. So that's not even what we make on the game. I mean, that is profit from the game, but then you have to subtract the employee costs of that as well.
I mean, what are Amazon fees on a $20 item in general? At least in our category.
on a $20 item, I'd have to look to be exact, but I think it's around like 40 to 45%.
Yeah.
And then when it gets down, like if you guys have noticed, like a lot of games we don't pay much for when they're low dollar. That's because if we send them to Amazon, it's like a 60% fee. Because there's a straight flat cost for Amazon, so lower dollar games get hurt even more because there's a flat cost for shipping.
The percentage of fees gets lower the more expensive an item is.
Yes.
A $100 item might be 80 some bucks after fees, but a $10 item after fees is like $2.
Yeah,
It's very small.
So that's why we are continuing to try to buy higher and higher end things for numerous reasons, but that is also a big one.
But then you take something like We Play. I don't know if we have one of those over here. Well, we have We Play Motion, but close enough. I'm fine if we get 20 of these from somebody because the batch mentality comes in. We can process
send them all at once.
Yeah, there's some
They
benefits
sell really
to that,
fast.
even if it only means $1 profit per.
Yes.
And in some cases, it means even less, but a lot of the times, it's also strategy because we want to buy the games that help get people to send more.
Yes.
So if us offering, where's like a Call of Duty game? If us making an offer on Call of Duty Ghosts is what gets somebody to send us their entire collection or all of their buy list stuff, even if this ends up being maybe a loss by a few cents, I think it's worth it.
Yeah.
But that needs to be factored in.
Right. And then like we can't even forget about there's electricity costs, we pay for water.
The cost of business again.
The cost of everything. That's why we'll get to
The cost of funding Chase's collection.
The cost of funding Chase's collection. Everything that Chase keeps in his collection is $0 profit.
And it comes from somewhere.
Yeah, it comes from somewhere. So what I'm trying to say is there's lots of hidden costs, and those hidden costs only continue to grow as you grow your business.
So you feel motivated to start a business yet? We do have some games here that we can
nice.
talk about. There's what is it? Yokai Watch 2 has 3 different Yokai Watch 2s.
Yeah,
and
Yokai
there's one
Watch
that's
Fleshy Souls,
super-
Yokai Watch Bony
super-
Spirit,
Yeah.
and then Yokai Watch. I think is it Bony Spirit is the best one.
No, it's Phantasm or Phantom something. I don't know, something more ghostly. Bony Spirits is a common one that we have in our buy list. But
like Sky Guy said, that can sound, what we've been saying, can sound discouraging to you.
that's a cost of growth.
That is a
and
cost of
getting
growth.
big to where it's worth it, and you've made it at that point.
Yes, it's not to be discouraging, it's just to be living in reality, because we don't want you to think that you're making thousands of dollars and all of a sudden you're like, shoot, I didn't make any profit the last 6 months.
Well, I think there's even just knowing this can help you make, I was talking about educated buys, and I promise we will get to competition. But, for us, I think having an online presence, it helps us more than it hurts us, but it does hurt us, and sometimes it hurts us big. where there's, a misconception that, oh, if, we're buying, say, let's say Pokemon Snap. Let's say it's $100 complete and we're paying $50 or $60 for it. People are thinking, oh, well, they're gonna make, $40. Like, why don't I just sell it? It's like, no, we're not making $40. Like, best case scenario on that, we're making 10, right?
Yeah.
Like, and sometimes like on Whatnots, like if you guys have been around, sometimes clean stuff like this goes over price charting, because on eBay, it would go for over what the average eBay sold is. So sometimes there's this thing that can happen where if you're outsourcing, this is such a mix. Welcome to ADD, the video. This is Xbox One and SNES right next to each other. If you guys are sourcing and hunting on Marketplace, I'm sure you've encountered the thing where it's like, oh, I want it sold quick, and I want full value, no resellers, no this, that, the other thing, because I don't want anybody making money off of me kind of thing. Well, one quick tip, I think it's better to spend your time not negotiating with those people. Their mind is already made up. But having that around can hurt the way you buy, because the perception can sometimes be weird, and that's why we try and be I think we're pretty darn transparent about everything, down to how we buy, how much we're paying for stuff.
Yeah, and like to be as most like transparent as possible. When he's talking about Pokemon Snap, okay, if this was in really good condition, yes, we do sell things on Whatnot for 150% of price charting, but we also sell a lot of things on Whatnot for 50% of price charting. So a collection might be really nice overall, but the reason that we can still pay up, we still do pay up for things that are in really nice condition, but we can't factor in thinking that everything's gonna go for 150%. Well, because the reality is, we have literally done shows where we price chart each item and then we write down what it's sold for, and on average, we do about 85% of price charting value. And now some shows do really well, some shows do really poor, but that's why we base our buying off of price charting, because it's
the most consistent.
It's
you
the
need
most
to have
consistent.
a common
It's
denominator, a consistent variable in any type of analysis. But I will say this, the reason why is because of a little old thing we call supply and demand. Not just because like, oh, this item is rare and we have like an audience with high demand and we only have one of these, low supply. If you go to a game convention, because we've seen this a lot, like when we're buying stuff at game conventions, we really don't do ourselves any favors, because we're probably losing money on every single purchase we make, if we're being real.
Yeah.
One of the things at game conventions is vendors know that the people there are there to buy, so they will price everything at 120 to 250% of price charting. That is just the reality, and things will sell. Is it bad? I don't think so. People will just pay whatever they see something worth. Like Metroid Prime 2 Echoes.
Well,
if I
contrary to popular
wanted
belief,
this game to complete my Metroid collection, I might pay more than the $40 this price chart's at.
so
maybe.
let's just take that example. If this game is price charts at $40, someone buys it for $60, it is now essentially worth $60, at least at that moment in time,
Yeah.
because someone was willing to buy it at $60.
And that's where like sometimes it can be a little frustrating on the pricing and buying end of things, because we'll see something on price charting where regularly it's selling for $500, but there's one sold for $1,000. So it brings up the average to say maybe $800. Do we buy it off the 500 that has 10 solds, or buy it on the 800 that price charting shows, or buy it based off of the 1,000 that one person bought it for? It's hard to know, right? Like that's one of those things that I don't think there's a good answer for. You just have to know your business and make an educated buy. Okay, competition. Let's finally talk about competition. This box is almost empty. There is some very, very cool stuff in this. Like we've been kind of glossing over and just
There's
having
a lot of
fun,
great stuff that we
fun
love
talk,
to
but,
get.
like Zelda,
Like
Metroid.
water sports, big league sports. I mean, I guess there's things like Link to Pass, but there's also Dark Alliance 2.
Bro, come on. Oracle of Ages and Seasons. All these are, I would put in like very good condition. Like look at the labels on these. Well done, Noah. I hope that you guys know our hearts. I hope this isn't coming across as like preachy or we know better. We don't. we know what works for us. We know our experiences. A lot of you guys, like in the comments and in Discord even, help us make our systems better, like alphabetizing our Amazon wall
We
instead
literally,
of console-atizing.
we were doing something different than what we're doing now, like for 2 weeks. And then someone on YouTube or one of our buddies was like, hey, why do you guys do it that way? You should do it this way. And we're like, oh.
It was way longer than 2 weeks. It was several months.
No,
Well,
the very
either way,
first
like-
way. The very first way we had it organized was really weird.
Either way, it
I don't
wasn't
remember what
that
it
long compared to like, we're accepting change.
is. And you know what change brings? Cost, because you have to take time to make those changes. But again, competition. All that factors or does not factor in competition. We have to price competitively. Because like let me stick with the game convention thoughts here. So at game conventions, there can be anywhere from 20 vendors to 500 vendors in a convention hall. All of those vendors are in literal very close proximity to each other at the convention hall, where you might have one person from Ohio and another person from Florida. Both are vendors and they're meeting stomping grounds. They now have to pay kind of based on what the others is paying, or they at least have to be competitive. A lot of video game vendors only do business at conventions, so a lot of their sourcing has to come from paying aggressively. So at game conventions, you might find a Pokemon Red cartridge with the battery swapped for 90 bucks. And we'll hear people all the time say, I paid 85% for that. And to us, being in the online space, that's insane. We can't compete with that, right? But we have access to a world market being online versus more of a local market by doing conventions. So that's just another thing to consider for us is, hey, wireless controller, is when we are buying, we have to keep these things in mind of like other people being able to make an offer. And that's where sometimes saying no is tough, but necessary if somebody truly just wants too much or they get a better offer. We want you to sell to what helps you best. Obviously, we want it to be us, which is why we pay up on so many things that help us get collections. And oh boy, we have like perfect example is a collection we have coming soon. It's the biggest thing we've ever bought, and these are all cables. But we wouldn't have gotten that collection if we didn't have the almost notoriety, might be the right word here for paying what we do. But long story short, you need to factor in what competition is paying and selling things for, because that's also going to eat your margin. Here's a perfect example, Pokemon cards. Pokemon cards are absolutely crazy right now, but say the market crashes and somebody gets maybe 100 booster boxes and they want to sell them all. They're fine with getting a lower dollar a piece. Well, now you kind of have this race to the bottom where some people might be pricing lower and lower and lower and lower, where they might not even make their initial investment on the booster boxes back. So that's something where video games for us, we try and look at price charting average again, because it's going to give us the most clear picture of what things have recently gone for. And we can see when things are not necessarily dipping. We don't chase trends that strong. Alpal, do we? Like, we might go back in the history of something. If something is only sold once a year, we're gonna look a lot more into that because the price is
I think the best example is we saved some amiibos to sell near the Switch 2 launch.
Yeah.
Like, it's stuff like that. It's not like now there's some like investment pieces that are in the collection, but overall like business inventory, we're not sitting on stuff.
Yeah,
or buying stuff because of trend.
And that comes at the, again, cost of letting stuff just kind of sit and not earn you anything. You have money that you have invested that is not giving you any return, which can stink sometimes. This is all just consoles and controllers, and I'm really bored.
Noah, I appreciate your packing, man.
Yeah, you really did a good job, and all this is in really, really good condition. It's just a lot of like, look at this. Like there was never a battery in that, I guarantee.
Yeah, those are corroded so much of the time.
Yeah. We'll have, speaking of opportunity cost, it's truly more worth it for me to have Nolan unbubble wrap this so we can keep filming and processing other stuff. There you go. Thank you, Nolan.
Shout out to Noel, baby.
Yeah.
In the chat.
Here, can I give you some more stuff too?
Look at that trucker hat.
Here. Here. Here.
By the way, look at what has
you.
become of our sticker wall.
Yes, thank you guys for sending us stickers.
Yeah, if you guys want your sticker appeared on that wall, send them away.
XYAB is a channel sponsor here. Some of the stuff you can get from them using our link down below, $50 off your first order of 100 more. GameCube replacement cases. This thing was in a beat up GameCube case. XYAB stocks these replacement cases. They are beautiful and it makes it look like that. The other thing that I really like that's a more recent addition are the jewel cases. So this, almost all jewel case games are just destroyed. Look how minty that looks now in this fresh new one from XYAB.
Look at all those.
Yeah, all these were swapped and they now look pristine, beautiful, and are Amazon ready. They have a lot of stuff that can help you maximize your sales. You know, we do a lot of the cases, but we also do a lot of the cords, controllers, chargers, battery covers, you know, PSP chargers, battery replacements. All that stuff you can find on XYAB, and they're looking for new businesses to partner with. So if you are a used video game seller especially, reach out to them. Use the link down below to get $50 off your first order of 100 or more once approved. It'll help support the channel. We'd greatly appreciate it, and you will not regret it, as we have not ourselves. But now, back to the video.
So Alpal was talking about my elegance or my eloquence, but I'm the king of rambling and I annoy myself watching these videos back. So thank you guys for bearing with me. I have a different camera persona than my normal one. So up here, we have a lot of stuff that will be for
Skylar is still
will be
real
for
on
sale.
screen, by the way. Just
Yes.
want to throw that out. He's not saying he's fake. He's just,
Yeah,
you know, when you're
I-
on camera, you just change a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. You're best way I've heard it explained is like you're just a like heightened version of yourself, and
You're just trying to.
mine happens to talk even more.
Yeah, you try to. You're thinking about the things you say a lot more when you're on camera than just
Yes,
regular
I challenge
day life.
everybody to just record for 10 minutes looking into a camera and knowing.
Yes, especially when it's
nothing
not in
is watching
selfie
you
mode.
back.
When you're not in selfie mode, that changes things a lot.
Yeah, it's we've gotten good at
Oh
this.
yeah, we've gotten a lot better at it.
This is just a really cool collection that we recently got. You guys will see in the main channel video, but like all this stuff is just wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. The only reason we got this collection is because we were able to sacrifice margin in return for offering a good price to where he felt comfortable enough selling to us. We'd give him the best offer for his stuff. Now, Alpal was mentioning how cartridges take not very much processing time. It can be true when we get really clean stuff because we don't have to worry about disc cleans or disc case swaps and all that. Like a box Supernova is just pretty much ready to go. And I think this, do you know when we're doing this auction?
I think this will be part of the July
11th auction?
July 11th auction, which
Okay.
we're giving away a Switch 2.
Yeah, wow, okay. So shameless plug there, but we don't have to really do anything to this. There's
No, it's fun. We
like,
normally unbox downstairs, but we actually unbox this upstairs
Because we
and a
knew
lot
it
of
would
this
all-
stuff is just gonna stay like that's just gonna stay up here and
Yeah.
it's ready to sell.
Yep. So that was one of those efficiencies that we did to kind of save on time and all of that. We knew that there would be a bunch more downstairs. We were talking about our whatnot margin. I want to talk now about the landscape of how reselling, please don't fall down the stairs. Let's show them where you're standing right now. Come this way. I want to talk about how the landscape of reselling has changed, and I think Alpal and I are going to do a video about this at some point, or maybe we'll talk about it on the podcast, just with like everything we've learned the last 3 or 4 years. But really sitting and thinking about when I first started, and especially when you first started, Alpal, how much the reselling realm has changed, even from a technological standpoint. You can list faster than ever. You can sell in more ways than ever. Like, it is truly easier than ever to get started with selling anything or reselling anything. With that has come lots of, you know, you guys see our videos. Like, we are part of this where we are encouraging people to start reselling. We're creating our own competition. Like, there's more competition than ever. So how can you set yourself apart more than ever? That's something that needs to be factored in, because margin used to truly just be better. I think a lot of times people talk about, like, you know, the glory days of where you could get 007, World Is Not Enough at a game store, maybe even complete in box for 10 bucks. I don't know, I wasn't born in those days, but the reality is there's been a huge demand for this stuff, which means when there's a higher demand, what happens? The price naturally goes up. Pokemon. There's a finite number of Pokemon reds and blues out there. Plain and simple. Are there millions of them? Yes, but there are tens of millions of people that like Pokemon. And of those millions, I don't know how much are left, but the point I'm trying to make is as demand has gotten up, especially through like 2020, 2021 times when we saw this collectibles boom, the hype and demand has stayed. So when the market was here, it just continues to climb and meet it. So in our early videos, we used to talk about doubling up after fees. If we were going to be buying a $100 game, we would buy it for 50% of the after fees value, meaning we would pay 50%. Let's say we were selling it at eBay at the time, that would be roughly 43 bucks. We're paying $43 now for this game. You know, we might be paying a bit more, otherwise we just don't get it at all. Like that's just the reality of kind of competition, but also a sign of the times in general. The margin on cards is very, very slim. People that are selling sports cards and trading cards at conventions and at all these different events, like their price is like 80% that they're paying, like 80-85% of market. So the margin is really, really slim. So that's why where a lot of these big businesses have gotten into higher and higher end, kind of like you were talking, Alpal, where I'd much rather make 5% on a card worth 10 grand than 5% on a card that's worth 500 bucks. Right, it's just very different. I don't know if you have anything to.
No, I'm just, as you're talking, I'm thinking about how we have set this business up at, like, there might be smaller sellers who can pay a better percentage than we can, but our sale is that we can buy your massive collection. That margin is gonna have to come down because, like we said, we have all these costs, but this collection you see here is a $60,000 collection. You take a $1,000 collection of video games, there's thousands upon thousands of people who can buy that collection.
Some for 65-70%.
Yes, but how many people, there's very little people that can buy a $60,000 collection for any reasonable price. And we paid a very reasonable percentage for this collection. There's, you know, collections that have valued over $100,000. The amount of people who can buy that kind of collection are even slimmer, but the margins are gonna have to go down. Contrary to popular belief, there are some people that we've had to deal with that have these really big collections and they're expecting these huge margins for them. But there's only us and a few other people that are going to buy a collection worth $200,000.
Yeah, we don't know everybody in the game.
We don't know everybody.
To be right. But if I were to take a truthfully honest guess, there's maybe between 1 and 2 dozen people in at least the States that could afford to make that purchase.
Especially retro. Like when we're getting all like
yes.
more modern,
if it's modern,
disc-based,
yeah.
then the companies, like let's be real, I just want you guys to know, we have 6 people here.
We are one of the smallest fish in the pond.
We know companies that have 100 employees that do the same thing that we're doing.
We know people that do volume. I'm trying to think of how to even quantify it. Everything we sell for the entirety of our business will not match up to 1 year of what they do.
Right. But that also, we're going off on a tangent a little bit, and that's what we do here at Crew. This is just our, you know, our express self, our unfiltered thoughts, but that goes to our diversification because we're not saying we're the biggest dogs out there, but not that many people do all the different games that we do. Most of the big dogs are more like it's like Amazon sellers.
Well, and that's the other thing where with retro, just buying this in collections is what makes us diversified because we have an audience that we've built over the course of 8 years on YouTube building, and we've gotten 50,000 followers on Whatnot. So when we do a show where we sell this, we have access to 20,000 unique people, like every single show. So.
And going, I'm going off on another tangent, but I'm just thinking we talked about efficiencies, and we know now with Whatnot, we can make our money with this in maybe, you know, a couple hours versus if we were to list these all individually, that would take hours upon hours of just listing time.
And that's where like there's kind of this balance that we've had to find, right? Where, and you know firsthand, Al Pal, we could truly, if we wanted to, we could shift our business, list all of these on eBay, and probably get more dollar value, but not more profit value.
Right, because time is heavily factored in, because that's hours upon hours that we couldn't spend elsewhere selling hundreds of more games, because we're having to list these.
Well, and not to mention all the money tied up. Like this is a $60,000 collection. Would you rather have your $60,000 in a few hours or in
Right.
3 or 4 months? So that's just another thing we have to
Right.
account
We
for.
we know the biggest buy that we've ever done in this business is coming up here in a month or so. We already have a plan in our heads of what we're going to be doing to get that money back.
Dude, it's so exciting.
Yeah, we already have a plan in our heads of how to get that money back within like 2 to 3 weeks.
Well,
Maybe-
2 to 3 days, really. Like
Well,
our investment back.
Yes. So that's the only way we can buy those big collections is if we get most of the money back quickly. Because if we have $100,000 that is just tied up, then all the collection is ceasing. And we have to focus on that even more because we have about 20, 25, 30 grand of buy list payments that are coming weekly that we can't do anything about. The buy list is rolling. It's coming. We can't stop it.
That's just what we have to do now.
We have to do it, so we have to plan
There's one
for
thing
that.
we kind of glossed over that I want to talk about real quick.
Okay. Thank you guys for going on this journey with us as we
Slowly walk through the
Skylar
barn.
says he's the king of rambling, but I think we're king and queen. You can decide who's who.
Yes. So, have a seat. Another thing we're talking about when buying collections is it is kind of funny sometimes. We'll have people that reach out, and we've had this as an example. I have a $200,000 collection. I want $180,000. If you've been listening to this video so far, you will understand that it's kind of laughable. But how do you not offend somebody with an offer like based around that premise? I think you just kind of have to move on. You can go through everything that we've been telling you to kind of walk people through the process of why that's not realistic. But you also have to remember the service you are providing them is the fact that they don't have to take the time to sell it. They don't have to take the time to pay fees and ship and all these other things that come with that territory. So part of what you are paying, like say the collection's worth $200,000 and you're paying $100,000. And these are very big dollar examples as well. This might look like 2,000 and
Take some
1,000 for
zeros
you,
away.
or
That's
200 and 100, whatever. They could potentially get that $200,000 minus fees. They could. They would have to do the work themselves. So what is that work worth to them? I would say that's where you can politely help educate people that we're a business and we have to make money too. This isn't just a video game thing where we're trying to lowball people or like there's a lot of stigma. Like that's just how business is. Like so many massive corporations are like, hey, we kind of just need to sell it at this and tough luck. Like go to some other distributor or this. It's just a reality that money has to be made and there are fees and margins everywhere. Like a good example is Best Buy. How much money do you think Best Buy actually makes off of products versus how much money do they make off of their protection plans? Their $50, $60 protection plans. Like that's where the margin is made up.
I don't know what they make, but their margin is
very strong
very high.
on those, even factoring in returns. We'll keep moving, but there's also this weird thing where the bigger your collection is, and we're about to find out with this massive collection that we're talking about, is similar to that graph where I talked about it increases at a decreasing rate. Truly, the amount of work that comes with a massive collection requires you to offer less. Your offer will increase at a decreasing rate. If you are getting in a collection of 10,000 games, think about what that will do to your processes. We recently bought a collection where it was like 3,000 games and the majority were like single Xbox titles. Single Xbox does not flow in our business
No.
at all. So we had to get really creative with how to sell. Otherwise, that's just a huge like plug in the funnel. And we'll come downstairs. We're just gonna keep walking. This is what my brain does. It walks from place to place. It was a massive clog in our funnel where we had to be creative with the way we sold, but also it taught us like, oh, there is a value in our time and with how we process things, and if it fits outside of that. Oh, I was like, did the phone die? there's a cost with that you have to factor in. So if you are, say, we bought a bunch of trains, we had to pay a lot less for those trains because we knew nothing about them, and we knew that the time to research them, clean them, and to get them listed properly was going to eat into our margin quite a bit. Another thing that eats into your margin is more staff. If that's something that you want to get into, and not that these two, they make more than they cost. That's the whole point, right? That should be the point if you're hiring somebody. Yeah.
This whole time I thought I was losing the company money.
Well, Alpal probably loses the company the most money
I technically lose the company hundreds of thousands of dollars.
every month.
Yeah.
But then Matt makes up for it and
Yep.
sells hundreds, thousands more
Yeah, see
than
all
Alpal
these,
loses.
all these games on this shelf. Those are
That's
those are my fault, and Matt is the one who finds the solution.
Yeah. So, okay. So you guys are like pounding the desk, and you're just like, hey, numbers, give me the numbers, man. So I'll let you in. The numbers, Mason. We can talk a lot more about this at length in other videos. So firstly, subscribe if you're not for whatever reason. We're gonna be doing a lot more educational and just kind of teaching content while we go through stuff in the barn and as we learn more and more. We have, so when was it? 2024, our goal was 2.2 million, and we finished around 2.4 million.
I thought it was 2.
Two.
Our goal was 2.
Our goal was 2, and we finished 2.4. Okay, so it was that. Our actual margin was either 15 or 18%. It's actual like
It was 15.
15. Okay, so that's what we're working with. So knowing that at our scale and knowing where all companies lay, like if you were to put that on an actual graph across like all businesses, that puts us in very good territory. Like there's $100 million businesses that operate on 1% margin. That's crazy to me because we're used to like much bigger margin.
Yeah.
But as we've grown, we've seen that margin dip from like, what would you say, maybe 30%?
Yeah.
Like 30. I think that's where we were at when it was like us in the basement. It was a maybe 30% margin. So now it's half of that, but our business has grown 4 or 5 times the size. And there's a lot of extra fees that come with that. So our goal, have we made our goal public for this
Not
year?
sure.
I will let Chase say that just to be safe, because we also don't know our goal. At least it's not hammered down, because we set a very I would say low goal. We wanted to try and do 3.5 million, and we realized we would be able to hit that. And now it's just a matter of like the range that we're going to land depending on
I wouldn't say
how
it
the
was
buy
a
list-
low goal.
It wasn't a low goal. It was
I
an
think-
extremely high goal. We just superseded our expectations very quick.
We didn't expect, because the buy list was launched in February. We made the goal early January. We did
And
not
then-
expect the buy list to absolutely blow up.
Yeah.
And we realized what kind of sales numbers we can get on Amazon,
Yep,
and
we
we're always getting the collections.
We expect
for
that to
whatnot.
go up even more with what's about to happen and all this other stuff. So all that being said, don't be discouraged if you see your actual profit margin going down. It doesn't always mean that you are doing something bad. It can be a sign that something has changed, and you should look into that. But I would say most of the time it shows that you're growing, and that's a good thing. So keep doing changes to your business when it makes sense for you, and just keep trucking on. And if you are wondering what kind of changes we're talking about, stock up on stuff like this, and you'll be ready.
See ya.